On today's show, we're covering the NLCS and ALCS. We're going to be previewing those series as well as previewing Game 5 of the Yankees and Guardians, the mini episode, all MLB baseball. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to share it with your friends. Leave a comment below. And as for you listen on audio, make sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. And we'll cue the intro. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Raw Prospect Podcast. My name is Emmy Nixon. Today is October 18th, 2022. The first day of the NBA season, by the way. And by the way, our NBA Western Conference preview will be coming tonight after those games. But stay tuned for that. But for this, it's baseball. And joining me for it from Austin, Texas, the Stat King himself, Mr. Michael Lane. What's up?
A little chilly this morning in Austin, but we have playoff baseball, Game 5 of Yankees Guardians here in about an hour and a half. I'm going to miss the first part of that because I have to go to a doctor's appointment, but I should be back for the important late innings. It's a very important Game 5 after we were rained out last night. For the second time this series, we were rained out, so the winner of this game is going to have to fly to Houston tonight because the ALCS begins in Houston tomorrow night. We have NBA basketball tonight and the beginning of the NLCS between two teams that we really didn't expect to be here. The San Diego Padres and the Philadelphia Phillies. I believe it's the first NL championship series, or maybe just championship series in history, regardless of AL or NL, where two teams make it that both won less than 90 games during the regular season. So pretty crazy stuff. But we're going to jump right in. Let's do a little preview of what we're going to see here in about an hour and a half between Yankees Guardians Game 5. I guess I can start us off. With the extra rest day, as we had Game 4 in Cleveland on, I believe it was Sunday night, the Yankees won that game. With the extra rest day, it'll be Nestor Cortez going on the mound for the Yankees on 3 days rest. And it's going to be Aaron Savali, who's Cleveland's fourth starter, going for the Guardians. Cortez clearly had the better year, a sub-3 ERA. I think he finished with a 2.44 ERA, the third lowest in the American League. Savali had a bad first month, but was really good over the second half of the season. I guess just keys for both sides today. I think Cleveland clearly has the advantage in the back half of their bullpen. The Yankees really don't have a closer right now. It's sort of closer by committee. And the Guardians have probably the nastiest closer left in the playoffs in Emmanuel Clase. And they have a nasty back half of their bullpen that the Yankees really haven't managed to hit yet in this series. So I think if you're the Yankees, you want to take the early lead. You want to sort of neutralize Cleveland's advantage, which is the back half of that bullpen. You need early runs in like the first 5 innings, because if you don't score in those first 5 innings, that's when Cleveland's going to go to the back half of their bullpen, and it's going to get really murky if you're down a couple runs or the game is tied, and you have to face the back half of their bullpen to try to win the series and win the game. So that's the key for the Yankees. Jump on Aaron Savali, get up by a couple runs early, and then go to your bullpen, which has been pretty good so far. And then for the Guardians, I think it's just the opposite. Just stay in the game and get to the back half of your bullpen. And once you get there, you have a chance, because the Yankees haven't seemed to be able to hit it yet. Judge needs to step up this game. He has not been good this series. I don't know what his exact numbers are. He has a couple hits and a home run that he hit back in game 3. But other than that, it's been all strikeouts. It's not been good. He needs to step up. So does Giancarlo Stanton. We need the big bats in this lineup to step up for this game. So yeah, that's really what it comes down to. I think if you're Cleveland, you want to get to the back half of your bullpen, either tied or with the lead. And if you're the Yankees, you gotta take the lead early with that high-powered offense.
Right. Yeah. The biggest thing, as you said, will be getting off to a good start, and also just the Yankees, I think, need to stray away from, just hitting for power, in my opinion. I think Aaron Judge's and, Giancarlo Stanton's, um, hunt for home runs kind of takes away from their efficiency. So in a series like this where, runs are at a premium, you just got to get on base. That's really the bottom line. Um, and leaving runners in scorers position, it's out of your control. But if you're on base and if somebody else in the lineup can, get a hit, then you have a chance to score. So getting strikeouts doesn't do you any good. So that's the biggest thing for me. It's obviously has to come down to the stars, as you said, but I think my point is a little different from yours in that I think they have to change their approach a little bit to win this game.
If you look at what the Guardians have done and how they've won games in this series, it hasn't been, you know, hitting for power, or even, well, they have hit for extra bases, but it's been a lot of soft contact, bloop hits, bad defense by the Yankees that have allowed or helped the Guardians to manufacture runs. The Yankees have been giving this Guardians team too many extra outs by making errors defensively, not being sound, uh, not as sound as we thought they were going to be defensively. So you can't do that on really either side. But especially if you're the Yankees, you don't want to give this young Guardians team hope early by making defensive errors. And don't give them extra outs, because that not only hurts your starting pitcher, but it's going to affect your bullpen too, because your bullpen is probably going to have to come in earlier. You're going to have to go to your bullpen earlier, which means your bullpen's going to have to throw more pitches. And if you win this game, well, you got 2 more games coming up in Houston tomorrow night and the next night. So you better buckle down and not make those errors, so you don't stress your bullpen more than it needs to be stressed.
Right.
But that's really what it comes down to for me.
Yeah.
So with that, we can move on. Let's go ahead and talk about the NLCS, which starts tonight. Uh, just your keys to the series. Now, these are 7-game series. We just had the 5-game DS series. Now we're on to the 7-game series, championship series. Phillies, Padres, your breakdown and your prediction. Who wins and in how many games?
Um, I'm picking the Padres to win in 6. I think the the star power from both teams in this series, I think, is what's going to decide it. I think the pitching is on the Philly side is a little bit weaker, but ultimately, I don't think that will make as much of a difference because um, these Phillies stars, particularly Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, I believe that's what his name is. Um, they're on fire right now, and I don't think much will stop them at this point. They have enough momentum to where no matter who they're facing, they're just in the zone. So I feel like the Padres, I think, are the more complete team, and I think will do enough to kind of um, counteract the punches that the Phillies will throw with those star players.
This is a real interesting series. This is going to be, I think, uh, appeasing style of baseball to the casual fan's eye. I think there are going to be a lot of runs scored. I think these games are going to be somewhat high scoring compared to what we've seen so far in October. And I think there are going to be a lot of close games late, and it's going to come down to the bullpens. And for me, I think I give the edge to what San Diego was able to do at the trade deadline by bringing in Josh Hader, who really struggled in his last days with Milwaukee, sort of mid-season after the All-Star break, really struggled. But once he got traded to the Padres, has been really, really good and has become their full-time closer ever since. And you look back to the series against the Dodgers, they were able to get the lead, and then once Josh Hader came in, Dodgers hitters had really no chance. So I think he closed all 3 games for them in that series. So that's the edge I think the Padres have, is that their bullpen is a little bit deeper on the back end, and they have that guy that they can go to at any time, not just the ninth inning, to put out a fire in an emergency situation with runners on base in a close game. They have other guys that are capable. Their starting pitching was good against the Dodgers. They've already faced the best of the best lineup. They're not going to be scared, per se, of this Phillies lineup, even though they're hot. You face the Dodgers. I mean, it doesn't really get any deeper than that. Um, you look at what Darvish was able to do, keep them in the game 1. Blake Snell, who's an experienced guy who came over last year from the Rays. And then, what was his name? Joe Musgrove as well. I think had one of the best starts so far this postseason when he went 7 innings, 0 runs in one of those games that the Padres won against the Dodgers. So I like what they have at their starting rotation. They're pitching well. In this offense, even without Fernando Tatis and without really the hot version of Juan Soto, has really gotten going. You look at Jurickson Profar, who was a guy they acquired at the trade deadline, leading off on that lineup, getting on base. Manny Machado doing what Manny Machado does, playing Gold Glove third base and getting important hits at important times. Juan Soto. I mean, you just go down the list, and everybody is contributing. So I think for the Padres, just have good enough starting pitching, get to the bullpen with a lead. Because if you can do that, this bullpen has been pretty damn good so far in these playoffs, and I think that's where they really have the edge over the Phillies. For the Phillies, you want to do what you did or what you have been doing since the playoffs began. Going back to that wild card series against the Cardinals, to what you did to the Braves, just a barrage of offense early on. If you look at what they were able to do against the Braves, they scored 7 runs, 9 runs, and 8 runs in the 3 victories that they had against the Braves. And what they were able to do was they were putting together big innings, guys getting on base, extending pitch counts, uh, making pitchers work for it, getting walks, getting base hits, hitting for power. They were doing a little bit of everything. Everything that you have to do to win in the postseason. The Phillies were doing it. Um, they had their stars kicking. Bryce Harper with 3 home runs and 3 doubles in that series against the Braves. You had Reese Hoskins, who a guy who really struggled, um, the first half of the season, had his ups and downs throughout the regular season. He came through with a huge home run. And I don't know if you saw his bat spike afterwards, but it was pretty crazy. He's been good. You mentioned Kyle Schwarber. Hasn't been as good as he was in the regular season, but he's still Kyle Schwarber. He's still that threat in the middle of that lineup to go ahead and give them that power. There are others too. JT Realmuto, who was an all-star catcher. Um, he's got it too. Didi Gregorius. The list goes on and on. Their key is offense. Score runs and score more runs. I don't feel as confident with their bullpen. Their starting pitching has been all right, good enough with this offense. So you have to be able to do what you did to Atlanta. That's jump on their starting pitching and not allow them to get to that deep back into their bullpen. It's pretty self-explanatory if we really want to simplify it down to what it is. For me, bullpen, it always almost comes down to not only your starting pitching and the depth that you have with your starters, but also the trust that you have in your bullpen. And I have more trust in the Padres bullpen. But I do think the Phillies will be able to get a couple games. So I'm going to go to the same prediction as you. I'm going to say Padres in 6, but I won't be surprised if it goes 7.
I think so too. But here's also the thing with the Phillies. It feels like this pitching staff hasn't really been tested yet. Like if you look at the pitch counts of their two aces, um, it really has not been much. And it looks to me like I think Wheeler and who's their other guy? I have it right here. Um, Sorry about this, guys. I can't think of the name of their other ace, but those two guys are going to pitch for the first 6 games, which will really bode well for them. Um, but it really comes down to I think the Padres have enough to test this bullpen more than the last two teams did, and that's not to say the Braves didn't have firepower. I mean, they're the defending champs, and they added in Ronald Acuna Jr. from that team last year. They have the firepower, but it seemed to me like obviously baseball is a physical sport, but if we're comparing it to football, it just felt like the Braves got hit in the mouth early and they just kind of fell apart from that. It was like once you get in a hole in baseball, it's really hard to come back from. And that just happened over and over and over again to them. And I don't think the Padres will find themselves in those holes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. But doubted the Padres all postseason. And they proved us wrong twice. So we'll have to see. I think it's going to be a fun series either way. But with that, we'll sort of move on. We'll wrap this thing up by talking about the ALCS. Now, Houston is waiting for today's Game 5 winner between the Yankees and Guardians. I think they have the clear advantage, either team that they face, but they'd obviously probably rather play the Guardians than the threat that the Yankees pose with Garrett Cole, Luis Severino, and Nestor Cortez. So just your thoughts first on who you think they're going to play and what the key to the ALCS will be.
To me, um, the overarching favorite for both these series has to be the Astros. especially with what we've seen from the Yankees. I would feel, better about the Yankees' chances if we had seen more from this offense throughout the playoffs. But based on what we have seen, the favorite has to be the Astros with, all of their stars clicking into place right now. It just feels like this team is ready to go back to the World Series. But with all that being said, though, um, I do think the Guardians would pose some issues with their ability to, you know, make pitchers work, get deep into the count, and be patient as well. Because with as good as the Astros pitching has been, they really do test the edges of the strike zone, and I think the Guardians would take advantage of that by being super patient when they do have those misses per se. Um, on the Yankee side of things, um, they have to hit for power. I think that maybe is a chance that they were just kind of looking ahead those past few games, and they'll show up tonight and then be ready for this series against the Astros, which is the team that they were looking to play all along. But I don't really look at that as the case, especially with how that defense has been as well. As you said, they've been a little bit shaky at times with the errors. So to me, in either of those series, I think the Astros would get it done in five.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Um, Look, it's tough. I do think the Guardians would be able to match up pitching wise better
right,
than the Yankees would against the Astros, given that Shane Bieber and some of their other guys keep pitching well. And the bullpen, I think their bullpen is still the best of these three teams and the deepest. I don't think that's the Astros bullpen has been fine, obviously, but I do think the Guardians probably have the most depth and the best closer of all these teams. So I give the Guardians the edge there. Now, with the way that the CS is structured, with 2 games in Houston, then 3 games on the road, either in New York or um, with the Guardians in Cleveland, and then 2 more games back home if it comes to that. With that 2-3-2 structure, I think it's going to be really hard to get it done in 5. I do think the Astros could get it done in probably 6. Um, I wouldn't. I don't personally put much stock into what we've seen series to series, series to series. I think it's really hard to. I mean, baseball is a fickle sport. Anything can happen on any given day. And we know that the Yankees would probably get up for that series. And I think there has been some good signs. We've seen the back half of their lineup contribute. We've seen guys like Oswaldo Cabrera, um, Harrison Bader, a guy that they got to play center field at the trade deadline, uh, Jose Trevino, uh, Josh Donaldson even has had some moments here and there. We've seen them get on base, and I think the key for the Yankees in that series would be just that: have the bottom of the lineup get on base, and if they can do that, well, then you're turning over your lineup to, uh, you know, possibly Aaron Judge, uh, Anthony Rizzo. And I think one thing you can't forget is if the Yankees advance, they're going to have DJ LeMahieu back. They're going to have Andrew Benintendi back. They're going to get some guys in their bullpen back as well. So it's not going to be the same Yankees lineup that you've seen for this series against the Guardians. But that might just be my Yankees fandom kicking in right there. I
no,
don't
no,
know.
I think that's fair. Maybe I kind of jumped the gun there, but to be fair, guys, I'm still new to baseball, so I haven't really like developed my philosophy for picking this series like as a fan yet. And also, the most of the playoff baseball I have been watching has been the Astros. So there's also some bias there um, as well. But I
But
do
to be
get what you're
clear,
saying. Huh?
to be clear, and then you can finish what you're saying. I would heavily favor the Astros in either series, and I think they could get it done in 6.
Okay. Yeah, I also didn't factor in the fact that it's 2-3-2. That does change things as well. I always think of it as with basketball where it's two
Yeah,
two, 1-1-1.
yeah.
But 2-3-2 definitely does change things a lot because if one of those teams are able to split on the road in Houston, then you have a really tough road ahead if you're Houston. So that really does change things a lot.
One thing that's interesting, I think, is you look at the stars of both the Yankees and the Astros, and Jose Altuve obviously has struggled in the DS, but he's probably just waiting to see those pinstripes come to town before he decides he wants to hit again. But Jordan Alvarez has been going. Alex Bregman has been going. Even Yuli Gurriel has had his moments. So you look at Kyle Tucker, they're really solid defensively up the middle. I just look at the Astros team, and I think where the real edge comes in, because the Yankees, if they want, we've seen them be able to go offensively. I don't think
Right.
they're at that much of a disadvantage offensively, except for the fact that Houston's pitching, not only throughout this year, but in years past, has been able to neutralize the Yankees offense. The way that they pitch to the Yankees is has been effective, about as effective as you can be, pitching to as deep of a lineup as the Yankees are. So I think that's where the Astros really get the advantage. It's not even that the Yankees starting pitching is bad or anything. I think it's really good. I think Cole's shown you what he can do in 2 starts against the Guardians. He's pitched really well as opposed to how he did last year in Boston in that wild card game. Um, you know, Cortez obviously has proven himself to be a real thing after sort of coming on late last year, having a consistent year this year, over 30 some starts, and then pitching well in game 2 of this series against the Guardians. And then Severino, even Severino's ability to battle through some difficulty in that game 3 against Cleveland, pitch 6 innings and only give up 3 runs, keep the Yankees in the game. This pitching staff, I think those 3 is the best 3 that we've seen the Yankees have in the past half decade, if you will. But I still think the Astros, with their ability, especially in a 7-game series, to go Verlander, Valdez, McCullers, whoever else, or Urquidy, they have the depth there, and they know how to pitch to the Yankees. So that's where I really give the Astros the edge. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah, and the thing that's been really impressive to me about the Astros is they've been able to win in a multitude of different ways. They've been able to win the defensive battles where you're pitching to a 18th inning and getting that winning run, and they've also been able to win from behind as well. In I believe it was Game 1 where they really went into a hole early with Verlander pitching. The Mariners were hitting really well at that point. They were rolling, and then the Astros stormed all the way back and won that game. So that also, plays a role in me being so high on the Astros. I think if you're a baseball fan, you might have been kind of put off by me saying them winning in 5, but that was also another reason why I had said that.
Well, it could happen. It's not out of the question. I mean, either one of these teams is going to be coming to Houston tomorrow on very, very short rest, short fumes.
Right.
So I think you already have a step up there in terms of you have, 3 days rest almost since you closed out the Mariners. And your pitching, I think, matches up with both of these offenses very, very well. And the Yankees don't have a closer right now. Now, one thing you can't rely on if you're the Astros this time around is Aroldis Chapman coming into the game to blow the game because he's not even on the Yankees roster anymore. But that was just a joke. But with the uncertainty in the bullpen, we have like 3 guys right now that we really trust in our bullpen. It could be tough. We're going to need length out of Garrett Cole. We're going to need length out of whoever is starting. I think it would be, since Cortez is going today, if the Yankees win, that is. I mean, they might not win. It might be the Guardians moving on. But if the Yankees win, I think it would be Luis Severino, game 1 tomorrow night. So, but at the same time, Verlander really struggled his first game of these playoffs. So we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. But either way, I favor the Astros in both series because of their ability to match up pitching-wise and their depth. They don't really have – I mean, you probably more know than I do. They don't really have – I know they have what's his name as their closer. Shoot, I'm forgetting his name. They have somebody back there that they go to close games, but they don't have anybody like the guy for the Mets, Edwin Diaz, or a guy for the Guardians, Emmanuel Clase, who just comes in, throws 102, and just puts you away 1, 2, 3, easy ABC, you know. But they do have everyone from the top of that bullpen to the bottom of that bullpen is very solid. So I think the depth of their pitching and the way they match up against these 2 offenses gives them a huge advantage. I'm hoping just for the sake of what we've hoped for all season that it is Astros Yankees, because I think that'd be kind of cool, given that in one league we get the 2 favorites in the Astros and the Yankees, and then the other league we have the on fire underdogs like the cool story Padres and Phillies. I think underdog like David versus Goliath World Series would be pretty cool. But in the star power either way would be awesome. Whether that's, you know, Astros, Phillies, Astros, Padres, Yankees, Phillies, Yankees, Padres, however it would match up, I think that would be awesome. But if the Guardians get there, they deserve to be there. They won over 90 games. They won what you can say was a weaker division, but they still won it. You got to give them credit. And their pitching would match up for sure with the Astros. It's just if that offense would be able to manufacture enough runs, like we saw the Mariners struggle with. They can match up pitching-wise. We saw that. But, you know, that offense just wasn't able to do it when it mattered the most.
Right.
So that would be my question.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that as well. But I think that's gonna do it, guys. That was episode 129. I don't know if we'll count this as an episode. It's a mini episode. It's a mini podcast. Just, you know, previewing these MLB games tonight and today. So stay tuned for the NBA episode tonight. It'll come after that Warriors Lakers game in the late window. So stay tuned for that. And unless you got anything else to say, I'll let you sign us off.
No, we got a big episode coming tonight. It's a big night in sports. You know, with the NLCS beginning and the NBA. I mean, Sixers, Celtics. I'm super hyped for that game. And I'm, you know, waiting to see what the Lakers and the Warriors looks like. You never know what can happen on opening night, but I'm excited for that game as well. So yeah, it's going to be a great night, and we'll see you after those games to do our Western Conference preview and predictions, and we'll be reacting to those games as well. I think that's something we should do more of this season. Let's do podcasts after like a big NBA matchup and actually react to that particular game. That's something we should do more often.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
yeah,
And with us going live like this, I think it'll lend itself to
yeah,
that as well.
yeah. But yeah, I guess until tonight, and be sure to tune in for that live stream. Um, we are, or I guess, just like the Braves' chances of defending their World Series title after being eliminated in 4 games by the Philadelphia Phillies. We are going, gone.
Peace.